They tell you marriage is supposed to be a partnership, 50-50, ride or die. So let me ask you something real quick. How well do you actually know the person sleeping next to you right now? Because 5 minutes before I took that trash bag out to the curb, I would have sworn on my life I knew my husband. I would have bet my future on him, and I would have lost everything. Picture this. I'm on my knees scrubbing dried coffee off the kitchen tile with a sponge that's basically disintegrating in my hand. My back is on fire. My phone is buzzing with work emails I don't have time to answer. And my husband, Mark, is standing behind me tapping his foot like I'm his employee, who's moving too slow. He sighs, real dramatic, and goes, "Babe, we talked about this. Coasters. It's not that hard." That's when it hits you. Not the floor, not the pain in your back, the disrespect. The way someone who used to look at you like you were the prize now looks at you like you're the problem. And I still told myself it was temporary, that we were going through a phase, that relationship takes sacrifice. Yeah, that's the lie. I fed myself every morning while I cleaned up after. A grown man who claimed he was too stressed to pick up his own trash. Mark said his business was struggling, said the market was trash, clients were dropping, overhead was killing him. He came home one night with that tight jaw he gets when he wants sympathy and dropped the bomb. We needed to tighten up. Survival mode. No more gym memberships. Cancel the streaming apps. And the cleaning lady. Fired. Because apparently $300 a week was the difference between us drowning and us surviving. So I became the cleaning lady. After my full-time job, I became the cook, the maid, the errand runner, the budget police. He started watching every dollar I spent like I was the one sinking the ship. Do you really need brand name cereal? Why are you buying that soap? The cheap one works the same. Sell on again. Must be nice. Funny thing is, his version of cutting back never seemed to apply to him. He was suddenly working late all the time. Client dinners, networking events, trips he claimed were mandatory. He'd come home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't his, with that lazy grin that said he'd had a good night, while I was eating leftovers standing over the sink to save on dish soap. And he changed, not stressed anymore, entitled, like my exhaustion was just part of the package deal. If the house wasn't perfect, he'd drag a finger across a shelf and say, "Dus, I thought you were handling the cleaning now." If I snapped back, I was not being supportive. If I asked about the money, he'd smirk and tell me not to worry my pretty little head about numbers. Then came the dinner with his business partner and his wife. Mark insisted we host to save money, which meant I cooked a whole 3-course meal after a 10-hour workday, while he played king of the castle in our living room, laughing, bragging, making jokes about how I couldn't stick to a grocery budget. And right before they left, his partner's wife pulled me aside and whispered, "Are you okay? Dave said they just closed their biggest contract ever. I thought you guys were celebrating." That was the moment something cracked inside me. Just a little, just enough to let the doubt in. Because if we were so broke, why was he smiling like a man who had nothing to lose? I didn't confront him. I didn't accuse him. I just started watching. And trust me, what I found in the trash a few days later, that's when the story really gets ugly. After that dinner, I stopped seeing my husband and started seeing a stranger wearing his face. Every little thing suddenly felt staged. The way he angled his phone away from me. The way he flinched if I even picked it up to move it off the counter. The way his late nights started turning into full weekends away, wrapped in words like conference, seminar, networking trip, all the classics. And yeah, I know how that sounds. I wanted to be the woman who trusted her man. I wanted to be better than paranoid. So I told myself I was crazy. I told myself this was just what stress looked like on him. Then he locked me out of our finances one night. I tried to check the joint account because the debit card declined at the grocery store. Not for steak, not for wine, for freaking eggs and bread. The app logged me out. When I asked him, he didn't even look up from his phone. Yeah, there was a security thing. I changed the passwords. I'll handle the money stuff for now. You're not great with tech anyway. That sentence should have been my wake-up call. Instead, I swallowed it like every other insult he served me. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday night. He got back from one of his business trips in Chicago, in a mood, threw his suitcase in the hallway like I was the opened the fridge, scowled. "There's nothing to eat here. There's a casserole," I said. "I don't want leftovers. Why do I always come home to this?" Then he sniffed the air and made this disgusted face. And why does it smell like trash in here? Didn't you take it out? I missed the truck this morning. I had to run to work. He walked over, yanked the trash bag out of the can, tied it, and dropped it at my feet. Hard. Coffee grounds spilled onto the rug. Take it out, he said, already turning toward the stairs. I'm showering. When I come back down, I want this place to smell like a home, not a dump. Something inside me went numb. Not angry, empty, like whatever part of me used to care had finally clocked out. I grabbed the bag and dragged it to the garage. The bag snagged on the metal latch of the bin and ripped open, dumping garbage all over the concrete. I laughed, like a crazy person, because of course it ripped. Of course the universe picked that moment to make things worse. I knelt down to scoop, eat up, and that's when I saw it. A glossy receipt. Not groceries, not gas. Thick paper, fancy logo, Gold Coast Jewelers. I unfolded it with shaking fingers. Diamond tennis bracelet, 3 carats, $8,500, purchased yesterday, charged to the card, ending in 4490. Our savings card. The one he said was basically empty. The one he said we couldn't touch because payroll was tight. My stomach dropped through the floor. I dug deeper into the trash like a raccoon on a mission. A boarding pass. Mark Reynolds, Chicago. Then another one, crumpled tight. Jessica Miller. Same flight. And the note. God, the note. Marky, best weekend ever. Can't wait to go apartment hunting next week. You spoil me better than you know who. Love, Jay. I sat there on the cold concrete, trash stuck to my knees, rereading those words until they stopped making sense. He wasn't broke. He wasn't struggling. He was funding another woman's fantasy life with the money I was killing myself to save. Every generic brand, every canceled appointment, every chore he dumped on me. It was paying for her diamonds. When I walked back inside, he was already on the couch, toweled around his neck, flipping channels. Did you take care of it? He asked. I looked at him and smiled. Slow, sweet, the kind of smile you give someone right before you burn their world down. Yeah, I said. I took the trash out, but he didn't know. The trash wasn't gone, and I was about to take out a whole lot more. If you're watching this story, tighten your blanket and hit the like button so YouTube understands you want the next chapter unlocked. And tell me in the comments, which beautiful country are you watching from? And what's the exact time there right now? I didn't confront him. That's what he expected. A meltdown. Tears. A dramatic scene could twist into me being emotional. Nah. I went quiet. Dead quiet. And that silence, it was the scariest version of me he never saw coming. The next morning, I made his coffee like nothing happened. Same Tashukas. Same kiss on the cheek. Same fake smile. Inside I was ice. I started collecting everything. Screenshots of his texts when he passed out drunk and forgot to lock his phone. Photos of bank statements when he left his laptop open. Receipts from restaurants I could never afford anymore. Flights, hotel confirmations. I wasn't snooping anymore. I was building a case, and the more I found, the worse it got. He wasn't just cheating. He was bleeding our future dry. Tens of thousands are gone. Credit cards I didn't recognize. A second account tied to his business name that he'd never told me about. The broke man was shopping for condos with his side piece while I was rationing paper towels, so I called a lawyer, not some billboard lawyer. A quiet, ruthless one my coworker swore by. The kind who doesn't gasp when you tell her your husband forged your signature on a loan application. The kind who leans back, steeples her fingers, and says, "Okay, let's ruin him legally." She told me something that changed the game. Timing is everything. If I blew up too early, he'd move money, hide assets, play victim. If I waited, I could catch him mid-transfer and freeze everything in one shot. So I waited. I played the role he wrote for me. I cooked, I cleaned, I apologized. When he snapped, I let him lecture me about money while he was literally funding another woman's luxury life. Every time he called me dramatic or bad with finances, I smiled and nodded. Behind his back, I opened a new account in my name. I started funneling every little bit of household money he gave me into it. I copied every document I could get my hands on. I boxed up my important stuff and quietly moved it to a storage unit. My birth certificate, jewelry, things he'd never noticed, were gone until it was too late. Then I found her online. Jessica 24. Influencer vibes with a camera roll full of my money. The bracelet on her wrists. The fancy dinners, the captions, like, when your man treats you right and new apartment soon, manifesting. Manifest this, sweetheart. The twist came when I saw the date on one of his emails. He was closing on a condo in 2 weeks, a down payment so big it made my hands shake, and the account he was pulling from, one I was still legally attached to because he forgot to remove my name years ago. That's when the plan snapped into focus. The morning he left for the big deal, I packed his bag for him, folded his shirts, slipped a copy of the jewelry, receipt into the lining where he wouldn't find it until later. I watched him kiss me goodbye, like he wasn't about to disappear into another woman's life. As his car pulled out of the driveway, I locked the door behind him and finally let myself breathe. Then I picked up my phone and made one call. He's on his way, I said. On the other end, my lawyer smiled. I could hear it in her voice. Good, she said. Let's pull the plug while he's mid-fall. And right then, while he was probably holding her hand and talking about their future, the trap snapped shut. I didn't scream, I didn't throw things. I sat on my couch with my lawyer on speaker and watched his life freeze in real time like a bad Wi-Fi connection. The moment he tried to wire the down payment for the condo, every account locked, declined, error message, try again, declined, business account, frozen, the credit cards, dead. His phone probably started buzzing like crazy, but I beat it to the punch. I changed the locks first. Then I made one extra call he never saw coming. The leasing company. Turns out both cars, one he drove and the one he helped Jessica get, were under his business credit. A business that now looked financially unstable on paper. Repo trucks move fast when the risk flag goes up. I imagined the scene without even needing to be there. Him standing in some shiny office lobby, trying to play it cool while the girl next to him realized his cards weren't working. Him stepping outside to handle it, only to watch 2 tow trucks roll up like karma with headlights. My phone lit up. His name, I let it ring twice, 3 times. Then I answered. What did you do? His voice cracked. Not angry, panicked. That was new. I took out the trash. I said, calm, almost bored. My accounts are frozen. The cars are getting towed. The bank says, I know what the bank says. I cut in. They also say forging my signature on a loan is a felony. Crazy how paperwork starts mattering when you're the one getting screwed, right? He started talking fast, tripping over his words. Listen, we can fix this. This is just a misunderstanding. Jessica's just a friend. The bracelet was, don't, I said. I've read the note, the boarding passes, the receipts. I've got screenshots of everything. He didn't just cheat on me. He financed another life with my sacrifice. Silence, then the quietest, ugliest sound. Fear, you can't do this, he whispered. I already did, I said. Divorce papers are filed. The judge signed off on freezing the assets. The audit on your business, that starts next week. Turns out moving money around looks real suspicious when you're lying about being broke. He lost it, begging, blaming stress, blaming me, saying he was going to come home and we'd talk like adults. You're not coming home, I told him. Your stuff is in garbage bags in the driveway. Right. I hung up before he could finish whatever lie he was building. By the end of the week, Jessica ghosted him. Shockingly, she wasn't into ride or die when the rides stopped coming, and the diamonds turned out to be evidence. His business partners distanced themselves the second the audits started sniffing around. And the man who used to lecture me about buying generic cereal, yeah, he was suddenly worried about motel rates. Here's the twist nobody expects. Revenge didn't feel like fireworks. It felt quiet, peaceful, like finally putting down a weight you forgot you were carrying. A year later, my house is clean, not because I'm scrubbing for someone who doesn't see me, but because it's mine. I buy the cereal I want. I take long showers. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. If you're watching this and something in your gut is whispering that the math isn't mathing in your relationship, listen to it. Love doesn't make you feel small so someone else can feel powerful. You can let someone treat you like trash, or you can take the trash out. If this story hits you, hit the like button so more people hear it. Subscribe if you want more real stories where the liar doesn't win. And drop a comment. What's the biggest red flag you ignored before you finally woke up?